Hey, in today's video I'm going to review the book Hooked: How to Build Habit-Forming Products by Nir Eyal, and I hope I pronounce your name correctly. This book is mainly focused on written for product managers, product designers, startup founders, people that want to understand how products affect our behavior. Hey, my name is Juan Rodriguez and I'm a product director at a tech company in Finland. I have been working in tech companies for 20 years and I would like to share my experiences with you. If you like this kind of content and videos, I will appreciate if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So the book Hooked, it covers a lot of topics of how people behave from the psychological point of view, what are the things that trigger people to do certain actions, but also talks about the morality of design and how to do design in a correct way or doing it in a way that we are not maybe creating not necessarily habits but creating addictions. But in the end, what this book is all about is what it says in the tagline of the video. The idea with this video is to build those products that are forming habits for the users. And habits are a very important thing because who doesn't wake up pretty much every morning and the first thing that they do is check out the mobile phone. So I'm not going to go through the whole book, obviously. I will add the link to the description and I would definitely recommend you to go and read it out. But I'm going to take some of the key points and the most important things that I have found in this book. And I will also give you my opinion on the book and on the different subjects that I will be covering today. So the book covers first very high level, what are the different steps of a process that are going to end up creating some kind of habit for the users. So first of all, obviously it starts defining what habits are, but then it goes into quite much detail of what are the triggers that are going to lead to action. What are going to be those triggers that are going to help users, your customers, to start performing certain actions with your products. Then it goes into the details of how those actions are usually taken when the users get a reward. You usually don't do anything if you don't have a reward. Then the next one that is going to be is that achievement, that reward that the user gets is something that is very important, and that can be done in many different ways. And finally, you just don't want that people enjoy your product for a little bit. Do you want that the people also have to invest in the product? This can mean several things. It can mean that they have to work towards achieving something. It's not always that when you give something for free, people are going to appreciate it. Sometimes people actually want to work for that reward because then it is a reward on itself to be able to achieve a goal within a product. So first of all, let's talk about the trigger. A trigger, what it's going to do is grab the attention of your user and actually make them wonder about your product. And the trigger is not an end on itself. The trigger should help the user to go into the action that should follow. So here the book talks about four different types of triggers. The first trigger will be an earned trigger. These are not going to be paid triggers. These are going to be the result of something, for example, going viral. For example, if you upload a video on YouTube and gets a lot of traction that is talking about your product, that will be an earned trigger. And typically because of the type of trigger, they are not going to be very long-term lived. The next one are going to be the paid triggers, and typically these are going to be the advertisement. And you can see this pretty much everywhere. You can see the sponsor links that you see in Instagram, the ads that you see in YouTube. There are many different ways of creating ads and doing sponsoring that you see in different media. What you want to make very clear when you create this kind of ads is define very well what is the customer value of your product and what will be the next action to be taken by those users so they are turned from prospects into actual customers. The next one are going to be the relationship triggers, and this is something that many companies out there want to achieve. You can think, for example, Facebook, nowadays Meta, originally grew this way. This means that you are going to grow through word of mouth. You are going to grow through people talking to each other, friends, family, referrals to clients, referrals to friends when you're talking about how much I love Notion and how great tool it is for doing product management, for example. And no, this is not sponsored by Notion, it's sponsored by the like button if you're enjoying it. But this can be also things like you are watching a review or from an influencer that it actually makes you think, why would you buy that type of product? And finally, there's going to be the own triggers. And by own here means that the user has, or the prospect has made a conscious decision to actually subscribe or follow or whatever it is the company that is building that product or the product itself. So for example, subscribe to an email list or subscribe to a YouTube channel, for example, or a YouTube channel that is promoting some certain products, or subscribing to, for example, their Instagram account. So that will fall in the own trigger category. So there are going to be different things that are very important when creating those triggers. Probably the most important ones is that the trigger itself is something that is explaining really well what the value proposition of that product is, but also that the timing is the correct timing. You don't want to be bombarding people with triggers when it's not the right time for them to actually do a certain action. For example, you probably don't want to do a Christmas campaign during summer. After the trigger comes the action. Here what you want to do is that once, for example, you have shown a new thumbnail of a good video in YouTube, you want that the viewers go ahead and click that video and start watching it. And that is the action that you want to achieve. Here there are two things that are going to help you drive that action, which is going to be the motivation and the ability. One of them is that the motivation is really high. This is a very important topic for me. This is something that I'm really interested in, and I'm going to go ahead and watch it, no matter if I see that the thumbnail might not be great and that the time is like 1 hour video long and probably that's a little bit too long. I will still go ahead and watch it. On the other hand, there's going to be the ability that this is something that is very easy to watch. It might be a very quick video, even less than a minute or maybe up to 2 minutes, that explains the topic quite well, and you can see that it has a lot of views. That will help you take that action. But typically without the motivation and or the good ability to do that action, to perform that action, users are going to fail to do the action that you wanted them to do. Watching a video is a relatively straightforward one. There are many other things out there that are not that easy to achieve, especially if you think, for example, about coding. That's not necessarily a very easy action to take. But on the other hand, the motivation might be really high. The next topic covered in the book hook are the rewards. The rewards that you are going to provide to your users so you make sure that they get intrigued and they want to come back in the future to continue watching or consuming the content, the product that you're producing for them. So here Nir talks a lot about the variable rewards, which is a way that you're going to make sure that you are creating the interest that it's all the time there for your users to come back and use your product. Think, for example, the trigger that is generated by Instagram every time that it gives you an alert that somebody that you are following has uploaded a new reel. You go and watch it, and then the next one is that you have the variable rewards of having more reels or more images that you can go and consume in Instagram from other users out there. That could be an example of a variable reward. And there are different ways of creating rewards. There are rewards of the tribe, which is like the recognition from other peers or community. Then there's going to be the rewards of the hand, for example, where you go to TikTok or Instagram, where you can go down this rabbit hole of you just went there because of one video, and then you end up spending maybe 1 or 2 hours watching videos non-stop because you just found it super entertaining. Then there's going to be the rewards of the self. For example, gaming has nailed this down, where you want to continuously advance your character. And for example, for myself, my YouTube channel, it is a reward of the self where I want to see it grow into something bigger. Finally, you want people to invest in your product, and this can mean many things. First of all, you want that the people scale up the commitment that they have with your product. Sometimes it's actually important that the users have to put a bit of work to achieve an outcome. He comments about a study that with people that were building furniture from IKEA, that the value that they put in that product that they have built themselves is higher than the value that they put on products that they just have purchased, like all the furniture. Followers is also something that is very important to have that investment on the product. The more people are in that platform, in that product that you are building, the more difficult it is for them to leave. Because creating that followers audience, it has a compounding effect. The more people are in, the more difficult it is that everybody would move into a different platform. There's many other topics that are covered in the book, like the different roles of the different people that are going to be creating the products, like the different profiles of designers, but I will leave that one to you to go and check it out on the book itself. But what do I think about this book? I think that the book is awesome. I think it's a really interesting read. I actually just listened to the Audible version. I think it's actually narrated by Nir Eyal himself, and actually he makes a really good work at giving that passion and making you wanting to listen more to what he has to say. So that I will give it definitely a very big kudos. I think that the book is great for anybody who is working in product teams, especially if you are a product manager, product designer, any kind of designer, not just product designer, depends on how you call it. It might be a UX designer, whatever. Also for anybody that is working in a startup and wants to make sure that they're building that product that people really like. And I think that this is really a really good book to read, especially if you're in the B2C part of building products. Is going to help you a lot to understand how to create that engagement. I think that for B2B it's also very important, but I would say that it's still quite a lag on the B2B companies on the attention that they put into the design of their products. This on itself might be a very good reason why you should be taking a look into this kind of book when you're working in a B2B environment. But many of the examples that you will hear about are going to be in the B2C more than the actual B2B, and potentially that's something that maybe I would have liked to hear more, given that my background has been mainly in B2B products. I think that the book does a really good job at explaining how these designers are actually building these solutions to solve a problem from the users by building some kind of habit. And it does a great job at explaining what this is, but this also kind of at least made me feel several times while I was reading the book about the morality of building products that actually are potentially creating habits or maybe a little bit like addictions for the users of those products. But this, bear in mind, that is a topic that Nir himself actually addresses on the book, and maybe I would have liked to hear a little bit more that he actually does talk about it in the book. But I understand that probably this is not the main goal of his book. He wants to talk about more like the process or the framework on how to build those habit-forming products. He also does a really good job when it comes to describing use cases or cases where he gives examples of how different situations will apply in the real life. So what I think about the actual book, I think that you actually should go and check it out. It's a really good book. I think it's super entertaining. I think it has really good points, and he doesn't just give a very good framework of how or where to work, but he also talks about real cases where these different situations or framework can be applied. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, comment if you have read the book, or if you are interested in the design part of product. If you like this kind of content, I would appreciate if you'll subscribe to the channel. And if you want to hear my thoughts about the potential wrong morality of building these habit-forming products, go check out this video. I will see you in the next one, and remember, stay safe.